is the big driver of all the big prices and price tags in this country, he said, and John Boehner obviously disagreed.
Well, a lot of people should agree, actually, with that, because a lot of people say that because of Obamacare, ironically, this is probably not where the president was going with it, but because of Obamacare, healthcare costs will go up. I mean, and taxes will go up. So it's interesting that he would believe that that would be the reason for the spending problem. A lot of people think that that's going to be exacerbated now with Obamacare in full force.
Yeah, he goes on to tell Stephen Moore in what I think is an exclusive interview, right?
I think so.
He repeated the message so often, he says that toward the end of the negotiations, the president became irritated and said, "I'm getting tired of hearing you say that." Oh, really? You've tripled the deficit, and he's getting tired of hearing that we have a spending problem.
But so here was John Boehner's reasoning as to why he believes the president decided not to move at all on cutting spending in these negotiations. Number one, he says, he's so ideological himself. Number two, he's unwilling to take on the left wing of his own party. I would add a number three to that, which is the president won re-election. I mean, this is all about who's in power. Do you remember when the president won the first term and there was some sort of a controversy and he said, "Hey, look, I won. Right. Basically, I'm not moving on any of this." And it seems in this second term that with regard to this discussion, he feels as if he doesn't have to move at all. And in fact, Nancy Pelosi yesterday is talking about more taxes now, not cutting spending, but more taxes.
Do you then agree with the Republican leader in the Senate, Mr. McConnell, who says we're done now with the taxing side of it? Now we have to concentrate on spending. Is that done now?
No,
is the revenue side of it taken care of yet?
No, it is not. I mean, the president had said originally he wanted $1.6 trillion in revenue. He took it down to 1.2 as a compromise. In this legislation, we get $620 billion, very significant high-end tax, changing the high-end tax rate to 39.6%. But that is not enough on the revenue side. We've already agreed to $1 trillion in spending cuts, over $1 trillion in spending cuts.
So what are you talking about there? Are you talking about more taxes?
We're talking about looking at the tax code, putting everything on the table from the standpoint of closing loopholes, and we know that we can do that. Special tax subsidies for big oil, for example, $38 billion right there. But again, not to take things in isolation, just to say, okay, well, how much more revenue can we get as we go forward?
Well, I got some bad news for Nancy Pelosi, who once was Speaker of the House, because the current Speaker of the House told Stephen Moore in that Wall Street Journal exclusive that in the next 2 years, absolutely no more tax increases. He also said that he is done negotiating behind the doors, closed doors with the President of the United States, because as he learned over the last couple of years, those dealings have been futile. The president simply is not an honest negotiator.
Well, one thing is, this deal should set up future deals, and it could set the tenor. Right. And it looks pretty bad, because he asked the president, "What am I getting after you got $800 billion in new taxes?" The president says, "You don't get anything." Well, keep in mind, the president has to, at the end of February, have a debt ceiling hitting him in the head. March 1st, across-the-board spending cuts are going to be automatic. He evidently does not want that, so he's going to have to, again, deal with Republicans. And on March 27th, congressional funding runs out. These are 3 deals coming up from the winter/spring. I don't